Hello everybody, welcome back to Into the Heart Wild. It's me, Alyssa. It's been a minute, I know, and we're just gonna chop it up to life. So I'm going to be attempting to bring the channel back to life. That's the goal, and I figured I would start out with coming back with an unhaul video because I recently went through all, let me see, I have 8 shelves. I went through 6 of my shelves. I have 8 shelves. I have 8 shelves. I went through 6 because I didn't touch one because one is full of books that belong to my sister that I'm holding for her, and the other one is all of my manga, and I'm not getting rid of any of those. So I have about 50 plus books here that I am unhauling. It's a combination of books that I have read and either enjoyed and don't plan on rereading, or I did not like it, so I don't want it anymore. And then there is also a pile of books that I've lost interest in, so I don't have any plans on reading them. And then there is the pile of duplicates, because I do own some duplicates, and there's some duplicates that I keep and some that I don't. So that's what we've got going on. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Okay, we're gonna start with the mass markets. I've got a few of them here, and that's where we're gonna start. We've got Game of Thrones. I made it about this far into it before I said I don't want to read this anymore, and I don't like the show either, so there's no reason for me to hold on to this. Next we have the duology Kingmaker Kingbreaker by Karen Miller, The Awakened Mage and The Innocent Mage. Read both of them and just progressively started to I started out enjoying it, and then as it went on I just progressively stopped liking it and enjoying it. I gave them both really low ratings, so we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye to these ones. But this next one is actually just a joke book between me and my friend, because I found the picture online and of the cover, of the original cover, and I sent it to her because if I had to see it, she had to see it, because that's how our lives run. And the next day she found it at her used bookstore that she shops in for me and bought it and sent it to me because she thought it would be hilarious. But it is called Tender is the Storm. So as you can see, the version I sent her, this little imprinted sticker wasn't there. I sent her a thread where it was a progression of what this cover looked like, and she found it and then sent it to me as a joke, but I have no plans to read it, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. Okay. The next 4 is the first 4 books in the Rune Lords series by David Farland. So we've got the Rune Lords, Brotherhood of the Wolf, Lair of Bones, and then Wizard Born, and that's completely out of order. It goes like this. But I have read all 4 of these. I actually still have book 5 because I'm holding on to it, because ultimately I did not like this. It got progressively just more worse for me, enjoyment wise. But I held on to book 5 because Sons of the Oak follows, I believe, the children of the main guy in this one. So I want to give it a shot. I want to see if it's slightly different. If that one doesn't work for me, then I'm just gonna cut my ties at book 5 in the Rune Lords. But yeah, all 4 of these guys are gonna go. So the next pile that I'm gonna go through, because I do have them split into piles here to make this a little bit easier for me so that I can get through this faster, because like I said, there's 50 plus books here. The next pile I'm gonna go through is just stuff that I have lost interest in and have no will to want to read anymore, so I don't want them. So first we have Mask of Shadows by Lindsay Miller. It's a YA book. I struggle with YA, with enjoying it, so since I've fallen out of the attraction to it, I don't want to bother. Next we have God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. This is book 2. I kept mixing up books 1 and 2 when I was initially interested, but I have since read a different series by Jay Kristoff, and I don't like his writing. I don't like his writing, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one and just call it a day. Next we have The Mortal Tally by Sam Sykes. This is book 2 in his Bring Down Heaven series, I think. I bought this, and then 2 days later all of that stuff came out about how he's basically a terrible person. So I lost interest like immediately, and so it's just sat on the bottom of my shelf. So we're gonna go ahead and let it go. Next is Arena by Holly Jennings. I know nothing about this. I forget how I even got this, so we're gonna let it go. This same would go for The Supernaturals by David L. Goldman. I don't read a lot of mystery thriller, and when I do, I'm very, very picky about the mystery horror thriller that I read. So, and this doesn't entice me at all, so I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. So we have The Prodigal Mage by Karen Miller, which is part of The Fisherman's Children, which is the follow-up series to the Kingmaker Kingbreaker series. And since I did not like the Kingmaker Kingbreaker series, I no longer have an interest in wanting to read this one. So we're just gonna go ahead and put the Mage series by Karen Miller aside. Next we have Born of Legend by Sherilyn Kenyon. That's a romance book. I don't have time for that. That's like almost 700 pages. Like, and it's part of like this huge other giant series. I think this is like past 10. Like this is like, I don't know. It's super far out in the series too. And I'm not going to read all of that. And I know it's one of those kind of like series where you can just pick up any book and kind of go, but there's like little things that connect. But I'm not going to put all that effort in since romance is not my go-to genre. So sorry, big boy, but you gotta go. Next is The Operative by Gerald Brandt. It's another one I don't know anything about. I think it's like number 2 in a series on top of that, so it's gotta go. Then we have A Book of Spirits and Thieves by Morgan Rhodes. It's a companion series or the follow-up series to her Falling Kingdoms series, which this is all YA, and I was told I would not enjoy Falling Kingdoms, so there's no point in me reading this if I'm not going to enjoy the first series that it's like companion to. I don't know if the video caught my PlayStation, but it my controller just paused. I don't know if it picked it up on that, but that's what that sound was. That was my PlayStation controller. So next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Mine is the Book of the Month edition. It sounds boring, to be quite honest. It sounds like a boring story, so I don't want to read it. I'm not interested anymore. Honestly, I wasn't even interested when I picked it up either. It was like I was canceling my membership and they were like, you have a credit, you should use it. And I'm like, but you guys don't have anything I want. That's why I'm canceling. But I had already had the credit, so I was like, okay. So like I got that because that was like the big hyped book that everyone was like on. So that's why I even have it. So next we have The Crossroads of Canopy by Thoraya Dyer. Like, I like the cover and everything, and I'm actually kind of like iffy. Like, I'm like, do I? Yes, no, yes, no. But I know it's like a really low rated series, and I know that book 2 and 3 were not released in hardcover. So, and I like matching sets. So I might go ahead and let go of the hardcover and maybe see if I can find it through the library. And then if I like it, then I can pick up the paperback versions. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just let it go, even though I do actually really like it. Visual wise. The last of like stuff that I've just like lost interest in is The Whispering Swarm by Michael Moorcock. I know he's like a really well-known writer, but like the more that I read the synopsis and everything, the more I'm kind of like not interested. But if anyone has read this and it's good and it's worth reading, let me know and I might change my mind on it. But at the moment, I'm just kind of, no. Nishan Smile by CJ Merwild. This is actually like the Fay Crate edition. It's pretty. I love the art and everything because it even has like the little edges and everything, and there's even some really pretty cover stuff and all of that going on. But unfortunately, I'm getting rid of this one for personal reasons because I feel like the author lied to me about what the content was in her book because she is a self-published author. I had messaged her on Instagram asking her, like, does it have a lot of sexual content because it makes me uncomfortable? And she was like, oh, it only has 2 scenes and it's needed and everything. And I was like, okay, cool, like, sounds good. And then I read reviews as they started coming out. There's more than 2 scenes. It's very heavy in some of some rape aspects and everything. And I feel lied to. So it's put a bad taste in my mouth and I don't want to read it now. I don't want anything to do with it, even though I spent like the money to get like this really pretty copy. But if you're a self-published author, please don't lie to people when they message you about like the content in your book so you can get a sale. Like, please don't do that. So after that, I'm going to go into the duplicates that I have. So yeah, let's do that. So first up is my Goldsboro duplicate of The Righteous by David Ragg. It's further up on the shelf, but I do have a correct copy. This one, it actually came in from Goldsboro unsigned, and it's supposed to be signed because that's their whole gimmick and everything. So I reached out to them and they sent me a brand new one, and so now I can do what I want with this one. And what's nice is the author also reached out and sent me a book plate. That's what they're called. Sent a book plate so that I could provide it with this book if I decide to sell it off, which is more than likely what I will end up doing. So then we have The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. I have 2 copies. I have the regular UK copy and then I have the Goldsboro edition because I thought I was gonna like this. I thought I was really gonna fall in love with this book. I did not. And I have no plans on finishing out the series because I did not enjoy this one. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well as the Goldsboro copy. Next we have Blood of the Chosen by Django Wexler, book 2 for, I forget what this series is called. And you know, publishers don't put Burning Blade and Silver Eye. It's on the inside. But I have the Goldsboro editions, so I'm going to go ahead and let the regular edition go. Then we've got Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This is the Waterstones special edition that they did. I actually have the regular edition, which I actually like more. I think the color scheme is so much better on this one. And they're both signed. I just haven't removed the little signed sticker from this one. But overall, I thought the book was mid, so I don't see the need to have 2 copies since I didn't like fall in love with it. So I'm gonna let this one go because I actually like this one more. Next we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, another one that I absolutely love and adore, but I just got the Illumicrate versions in of this one as well as the Under the Whispering Door, so I'm gonna let my regular edition go. Then we have Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. Love this series. I have it twice. You can like kind of see it behind my little dude right here if you zoom in, I guess. But yeah, have it, love it. This series is amazing. It's the only series that I've read by Abercrombie, and I think it was like a great introduction, so I'm excited to read other stuff by him, but I love this one. Cold Iron by Miles Cameron, duplicate. Haven't read it yet, so I don't know. I'm also kind of on the fence about reading it, and you'll find out soon enough, I think. Where is it? Yeah, you'll find out why. You'll find out why, because I have another book by him in this pile. Then we have this is another duplicate. I'm still in the duplicate pile. The Shotgun Arcana by R.S. Belcher. Like, my friend found me the hardcover copy to go with my Queen of Swords, so we're gonna let the paperback guy go. Even it's a good floppy paperback. I know people are like super excited about that, but also that cover is popping. Robin Hobb's Assassin's Fate. I haven't read this yet. I haven't even gotten this far yet into the whole series. I'm still working on the very first trilogy, but I don't need 2 exact same copies of this one, so we're gonna let this guy go. This is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I have not read this one. It's not a duplicate. It's just my Goldsboro edition, and I have no interest in reading this. I haven't even read Ready Player One, which I don't have any interest in reading that one either. So I'm going to go ahead and let this bad boy go. Now, the next two piles that I'm going to go through are all books that I have read. And I just, I didn't like them enough to want to keep them. So don't be upset if a favorite book of yours is in here. So first up we have Swords Point by Ellen Kushner. This was just, it was confusing to read. A lot of the characters went by multiple titles, and depending on who was talking to who depended on what title was used, but they didn't always use the name of the character after the title, so it became very confusing. There is LGBT rep in it, which is nice, which is what was like one of the driving points for me wanting to read it, but because I kept getting characters confused, it just became insufferable and frustrating. So I was like, you're done. Even though I do like this art, I like this cover, but it's done. It's gotta go. Next we have The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. I thought it was alright. There's actually a short story in this one, that the Ash Boy, which I actually liked a lot more than the whole like actual story in this. You know, I thought it was better. I thought it was better written. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this one go because I really didn't think it was like all that spectacular. So sorry to all of you V.E. Schwab fans. That's 2 books I'm getting rid of hers. Next we have the YA book Warrior of the Wild by Tricia Levenseller. I was excited for this, and then I read it, and it did what YA does. I'm a strong girl. Oh, I've met this guy, and now I can't do anything for myself. And now we're in love. And it just ruined the whole vibe for me, so we're gonna let this one go. We have The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. I actually just finished this one. Still has my bookmark in it. And it just, there are a lot of plot holes, and it just ended up making it like unenjoyable because there were just certain aspects that were just not explained, and I was just like, I don't understand why these are connecting to each other because you're not telling me why they're connecting to each other, and it never does. And then there was a lot of moments where certain elements just felt convenient for the plot at that time point, and then they would disappear, and you were just like, okay. So yeah, just a lot of little problems. Gonna let it go. Then we have The Dark Deep by Ali Condi and Brendan Reichs. It's a middle grade spooky, but it ended up turning out to be more like a funny spooky. So I ended up, like, I was vibing with it, and I was chilling, and I was enjoying it. And then when it actually got to like the actual spooky part, they did this weird like funny twist instead, and I was just kind of like, oh. And I got upset. So we're gonna let that one go. I'm hoping for these middle grade books, because I have a few of them, I'm hoping I can maybe give them to a middle grade classroom or something that needs them. So that's the goal with those. Next we have The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Nobel. It's a good story. It's just, I don't like stories that take place in schools. I don't like school settings. So it just, that's how this is. Like, little girl goes off to a boarding school, and she has to find out the mystery of what happens with her dad, because he's gone missing, but he also went to the school. So it just kind of, didn't work for me. So, and I don't plan on continuing the rest of the series, so I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. It is well written, and it is enjoyable, and anyone who enjoys like the whole school aspect mystery thing would enjoy it. Next is The Memory Thief by Bryce Moore. It was good. It was interesting. Kid goes to a circus, he gets his memories stolen, and then has to like try and get them back and everything. I just don't see myself rereading it. It was enjoyable, but not rereadable enjoyable, if that makes sense. Next we have The Thunder Girls, Sif and the Dwarf's Treasure by Joan Holub and Susan Williams. It's book 2 in the Thunder Girls series, but the way this particular series is done, you can pretty much read them out of order because they're all self-contained stories. It was a cute little retelling of Sif and her golden hair and everything, and the dwarves and how they came to make all the great weapons and such for Odin and everyone else. But overall, it was just kind of like, I read it with my daughter, and even she wasn't really all that impressed with it. And not just because she's not interested in fantasy and mythology and stuff like that, because I don't know how that's possible considering she's my kid, but she's like, I don't like that stuff. But yeah, so next we have Dead Wednesday by Jerry Spinelli. Interesting concept, not really executed the best towards the end, and just kind of like, like that's how I kind of felt, just kind of like, when I was done with it, and I was just like, okay, but it's definitely an interesting concept, so definitely worth like checking out, but not like worth enough to where I'm like, I want to keep it. And then we have A World Below by Wesley King. This book was interesting. It was very interesting. You can't really explain it without giving the whole thing away, but like the cover makes you think they're going to this fairy world, and that is not what they find underground at all. It's kind of weird. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let that go. So those are all the middle grade ones. No, I have one more middle grade right here. The School of the Dead by Avi. I hated the ending. It just ends, and there's like certain things that aren't wrapped up, and I'm just like, hello. You left a bunch of stuff unsolved, unwrapped up, like you just end the book. and I didn't like that. I did not like how it just abruptly ended, and I was just like, no. I got upset with that. I don't like when stories just like abruptly end and there's a bunch of things like left open. So yeah. So this is actually one I have not read. It got put into the wrong pile. But The Jealousy of Jalise by Jessie Nolan Bailey. I just have a duplicate of it. So that should have been in the duplicate pile, but it wasn't. My bad. It's a self-published book. So yeah. Okay, so next is, I told you he was coming back, The Red Knight by Miles Cameron. This book legitimately made me angry. I read it in January. I only made 200 pages in before I was ready to throw it at a wall or out a window or set it on fire or put it in a trash can of burning fire. All of those things. I would glare at it from across the room. It ruined my reading for the month of January. I have a review on Goodreads that deep dives into it more, but the basics was, in those first 200 pages, none of those women were treated okay. And it just got to a point where it became uncomfortable and it started to make me angry, and I said, screw it. And I got rid and I stopped. And I don't plan on going back. I don't plan on reading the rest of the series. I'm actually glad that I held off on buying the whole series, because I was going to do that, because it is apparently King Arthur like inspired or something, which is how I came across it, and I love King Arthur stuff. Like, this is a whole shelf of King Arthur related books, and I think like 2 Robin Hoods, but that's all King Arthur stuff. I have King Arthur books on display up there because I genuinely enjoy the tales of King Arthur and everything. So I'm glad I didn't buy that whole set because I was going to. Next we have Master Assassins. I read this. I enjoyed elements of it. There were some things that I kind of was very lenient on, which was, rapey scenes towards women. But I was really into the younger brother's portion of the story and what was going on with him and everything. And then I got a arc for book 2 and it ruined the story. It ruined the story for me. The elements I was interested in were either not present or they were removed from the younger brother and were given to the older brother. And I absolutely despise the older brother in that story. So I have no plans on reading book 3. So, that's all it takes, just, yeah. So I'm not going to hold on to book 2 since I don't plan on buying, I'm not going to hold on to book 1 since I'm not going to buy book 2, and then I'm not going to buy book 3, so. Next we have The Burning Light by Bradley P. Ballou and Rob Ziegler. I don't know if I said Bradley's last name right, so I'm sorry if I messed it up. But The Burning Light, it's a novella. I love these things. I just don't really understand the story. And then like I didn't like how it ended. So it was like one of those books where once you read it, you just kind of sit there and you're confused. You're just confused. You're just like, I don't understand what happened in this story. So, gonna let it go. Next up we have is a trilogy that I read, and it was enjoyable, but not to the point to where like I see myself rereading this. And it is the Dragon Slayer series. I guess that's what it's called, by Duncan M. Hamilton. So there's book 1, Dragon Slayer, and then book 2, Knight of the Silver Circle. Apparently I can't read backwards right now. And then Servant of the Crown. Part of me was wanting to hold on to them because that's Richard Anderson's art on the cover. And I'm a sucker for that man's art. But ultimately, I gave each book like 3 stars. And so it's just not enough where I'm like, yeah, I would reread it. And I needed space on my shelf. So we're going to go ahead and let those dragon ones go. Next is Gork the Teenage Dragon by Gabe Hudson. I made it maybe 30% into the book, and I was just really bored. It's an interesting idea, interesting concept. You're following a dragon who's a teenager going through school, which again, I don't do school settings. But he's also like trying to get this girl dragon to fall in love with him. I also don't like romance settings. So we're gonna let that guy go. Might work for someone else. Next one is another one that's red, but it's also a duplicate. Fate of the Fallen. This is the Book of the Month version. I have a regular version because I absolutely hate how Book of the Month puts their logo like in 500 places on these things. They just like fill it all over the place. It's a pet peeve. But I actually really loved the book. I really enjoyed it, so I am excited for book 2, but I don't need 2 copies, especially a copy that just makes me angry when I look at it because of all the logos. Ology, which I'm sad to see go because I was excited to read these, and the covers are beautiful. A Conspiracy of Truths and then A Choir of Lies by Alexandra Rowland. Like, first off, take that in. Is that not gorgeous? Like, those are gorgeous. They're so freaking pretty. Unfortunately, the stories inside just did not work, you know? And I like how on the back of this one they have a big old quote, and then on the back of this is just a bunch of like, you should read this because, like, this back is so much better. But yeah, it was just one of those, stories where it just fizzled out, and I just ended up not really liking them. I ended up like really hating A Choir of Lies. So as pretty as they are, I'm gonna let them go. And then next is another one where beautiful cover, but Persephone Station by Stina Licht. I actually have a review. I reviewed this on Goodreads and everything, and I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. It also has a serious problem with the word said. Every conversation was just he said, she said, she said, she said, she said, they said, she said, they said. And I'm just like, y'all just stare at each other when you talk. Is that what's going on? Because that's what I picture in my head, because I picture what I read and all I see is just, no, you can't do that, but I'm gonna do that. Whatever will you do? There was just no emotion in any of the conversations. So yeah, didn't work for me. And then the last 3 that I have is a trilogy that is all out of order. I know the order of this one. But I don't remember the trilogy name, and like I said, for whatever reason, publishers don't like putting the trilogy names on books anymore, ever. So first up we have Kill the Farm Boy, No Country for Old Gnomes, and then The Princess Beard. These are by Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearn, and out of all of them, I liked the first one the most. It felt like a wild and crazy like D&D kind of session. I don't play D&D, but I've seen people play, and I've watched what they look like. And the first book definitely felt like that. There was a character in here who had like a fear of chickens, and I fell in love with her. But then the follow-up 2 books just went downhill joke-wise, because the whole point of this series is, to poke fun at fantasy in general and fantasy tropes and such like that. And while it does do that, it does end up falling into a joke repetition, which really kind of ruins the books. And then the last 2 books like really honed in on the fart and poop jokes, and I don't find those jokes funny. Like I don't. It's like my friend says, she's all, it sounds like 15-year-old boy humor, and I'm like, yeah, that's not my kind of humor. So we're gonna see it go. Even though I really love the covers, like the color theory that was used, like somebody knew what they were doing when they put these colors together, okay? They understand how the color wheel works, and I appreciate that. But that is everything. That is all the books that I'm getting rid of. They'll either be sold, donated, I'll take them down to half price books so they can give me like 2 cents for them, because their exchange rate is terrible. At least the one in my area. So yeah, that is everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, if there's anything in here that I have not read that you think I should hold on to, you're more than welcome to tell me why you think I should. Doesn't mean I'm going to, but you're more than welcome to try and convince me. Other than that, please don't get mad if I got rid of your favorite book. So if you guys enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it, all that stuff. I'm trying to get the channel revived again. So until next time, bye.